Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that everyone has had a restful but observant Memorial Day weekend with family and friends. Memorial Day is a time of reflection, and it's a time to honor and remember those who sacrificed or who gave the ultimate sacrifice while serving our country. So amid the countless cookouts and the beautiful weather that we had in the later part of the weekend, I hope that we all stopped to remember the sacrifice of countless Americans over the weekend. On Sunday, I was at Emmett Park with the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 671, as they held a ceremony honoring the 106 men from the Savannah area who gave their lives during the Vietnam War. Yesterday, I was again with the American Legion, the George K. Ganem Post 184, and the William P. Jordan Post 500. In Savannah's annual Memorial Day ceremony at the Veteran of the World Wars Section American Legion plot at Savannah's Bonaventure Cemetery, as we honored the over 1.3 million men and women who have lost their lives in defense of our country, including 9,287 Georgians. We must never forget them and their sacrifice, and we must keep our arms wrapped around those Gold Star families, 472,000 of them, who are the relatives, the family members, those who lost the most in these incidents. Last week, I led a delegation from Savannah to Ireland to further strengthen our relationship between the Wexford County Council and to tour the Georgia Southern University Learning Center in partnership with the Southeast Technological Institute. I was present and participated in the signing of an agreement between Wexford County Council and Georgia Southern University to convert the historic Adoration Convent for future Georgia Southern student accommodations. While we were there, 60 students from Georgia Southern arrived in Wexford for the summer. We also participated in economic development opportunities through the World Trade Center Savannah, the Trade Bridge Initiative, and the Wexford County Council, which will create opportunities for Irish businesses to do business in Savannah, and more importantly, in my mind, for Savannah businesses to do business in Wexford and in the greater Irish diaspora. We traveled to New Ross in Wexford and toured the Dunbrody famine ship that transported poor Irish families to Savannah in the 19th century in hopes of a better life. And those families have arrived in Savannah and they have thrived. Names that we recognize like Kehoe and Rossiter that are very familiar names here in Savannah. It is because of that relationship with New Ross and that direct relationship of immigrants who came here seeking a better life, and they found it here in Savannah. During my time in Ireland, I had the opportunity to have audiences with the mayor of County Wexford, the mayor of Kilkenny, the chairman of County Kilkenny, the Lord Mayor of Dublin, and the Minister for Diaspora and International Development, Minister Sean Fleming, at the seat of Parliament of the Irish government called the Leinster House. So while this was a hectic and power-packed trip, we are intentional about strengthening our international relationships, particularly our economic and educational opportunities in Ireland and worldwide that is mutually beneficial for both cities and countries. We recognize, particularly in this time where our economy is so strong, that the next frontier is that of an international one. and cities that are prepared now to do business internationally, companies that are prepared now to do business internationally, particularly small business, will be able to survive the next economic downturn. And we know that it will come. History shows that it will come. And so we are preparing now for what is to come. On Thursday, the Savannah City Council held our second workshop and meeting of May, where we received a diversity, equity, and inclusion update. We recognized May as National Historic Preservation Month, and we honored a very distinguished and well-deserving Savannian, Colonel Henry Hank Reed, for his international, national, and local service. He is absolutely a phenomenal individual. During a regular meeting, the City Council considered many alcohol licenses and zoning amendments, including adopting an increase in the hotel-motel tax, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But we also approved several purchasing items, such as authorizing the city manager to execute a contract to procure various playground renovations, multi-station play structures, and site amenities with the Game Time Dominica Recreation Products Incorporated in the amount of $539,024. And this equipment will replace aging park and playground features at 21 playgrounds in our city as a part of our Recreation Reimagined initiative. In a 6-3 vote, the council also approved a new zoning classification for cannabis dispensaries, one that mirrors pharmacies with many conditions on where they can be located. This is and continues to be a quickly evolving field. Legislation is coming annually from the state, and it is clear that this is a road that is going to lead to recreational marijuana in Georgia. And so we must set guidelines to be prepared for what we all know will come. So in this new zoning classification, medical cannabis dispensaries will be allowed in the same zoning classifications as pharmacies, but with more conditions to include requiring an approved security plan, as well as fail-safes in the case of a malfunction. No flashing lights, search lights, spotlights, hot lights, or similar lighting. No electronic signs or messaging boards. Hours of operation being from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. That dispensaries must be in a stand-alone building. Cannabis cannot be consumed on site. Cannabis dispensaries cannot be in an alcohol density overlay district, and that applicants will be required to provide their state medical cannabis dispensary or medical marijuana dispensary license. And so as this evolves, as state law evolves, will evolve, and we'll make adjustments as necessary. And I'll just tell you, stay tuned. Don't fire up just yet. And we finally, in a 6-3 vote, approved the increase to the hotel-motel tax, which will send $37 million to the redevelopment of the historic waterworks building and trails and sidewalks connecting West Side neighborhoods, $30 million towards the redevelopment and renovation of River Street and our historic waterfront, $10 million to the Tide to Town Trail Network. Another $8.5 million will be split among other tourism-related products on the project list, which includes possible museum development, new water access facility on the south side, wayfinding signage, and West Bay Street gateway enhancements. Now, obviously, this was way harder in the end than it should have been. This is something we've been working for 7 years. And as we continue to strive to find new opportunities to be able to create a recurring revenue that is not on the backs of our taxpayers, this was the way to do it. This has been our legislative priority for at least the last 2 to 3 years. And despite the drama that happened at the finish line, I'm remain grateful to our hotel, tourism, business, legislative, and gubernatorial partners that helped us get to this point. We will begin collection of this tax in September. And I certainly cannot say enough about Team Savannah, City Manager Jay Melder, Bates Lovett, Joe Shearhouse Jr., Brett Bell, our lobbyists, Marcy Rubinson, for all of their hard work. Despite what you heard and some of the things I was like, I'm in the twilight zone, because I'm like, some of the stuff I never, our ask had been consistent for these years, and we knew that we had to remain consistent, because this was the art of the deal, so to speak, because you had at least 6 separate distinct partners that all had to be a part of this. So we were consistent, our city manager was consistent, the language remained the same, and we improved our argument, and so I was glad that we were able to get it done. So you can find a replay of this meeting on our Facebook page and agendas on our website, savannahga.gov. Get your favorite beverage and some popcorn and get comfortable, because this meeting lasted 4 hours. I'm asking Savannahans to wear orange this Friday and throughout the weekend. On January the 21st, 2013, Hadiya Pendleton marched in President Obama's second inaugural parade. 1 week later, Hadiya was shot and killed on a playground in Chicago. Soon after this tragedy, Hadiya's childhood friends decided to commemorate her life by wearing orange, which is the color that hunters use in the woods to protect themselves and others. So Wear Orange began on June the 2nd, 2015, which would have been Hadiya's 18th birthday. And since then, Wear Orange has expanded to 3 days: National Gun Violence Awareness Day, which is the first Friday in June, and Wear Orange Weekend, which is the accompanying weekend. And so therefore, Wear Orange will take place this year, June 2nd to June 4th. So this year, as I again proclaim, Friday, June 2nd is National Gun Violence Awareness Day. I'm asking Savannahans to unite in our call to end gun violence as we wear orange. We believe that the power of good, the power of education, the power of awareness supersedes any evil intentions. And we've been very, very clear about that. The city of Savannah has had all boots on the ground. We have displayed a multi-pronged approach, because we realize that police cannot do this alone. We have an Office of Neighborhood Safety Engagement. We're engaged with Cure Violence. We're working with big mamas and grandmamas. We're working with daddies and uncles. We're working with mentors. And at the risk of being too grateful, in 2023, we've had 1 homicide in the city of Savannah. 1 homicide this year, which is a reduction of 95%. 95%. And we're almost half of the year. So we are certainly grateful to God for it, but we're also grateful for the hard work of all of those partners. And remember, from December 23rd to mid-March, we had no homicides in this community. And so I say that not to gloat, but I say that to highlight the power of partnerships and the power of people working together. And that if we work together, we can change things in this community. So as we honor communities that are shattered by gun violence, and we know this was a rough week in Chicago. We know that there was some shooting in a boardwalk down in Florida. We know that communities are still dealing with this. We know that here in Georgia, as long as we allow guns everywhere, there will be guns everywhere. And as long as guns are everywhere, that is an issue for us. And you have people still say that guns don't kill people, people kill people. I say people with guns kill people. People with guns hurt people. And so we have to do what we can and separate people from the guns that would hurt or harm people. And so we are honoring the 120 people who are shot and killed every year, and hundreds more who are wounded every day in our community. And we're calling for meaningful action from the local level to the federal level to take place. And so as we are engaged with the 100 Days of Summer, specifically designed to keep our young people active and accounted for, I'm again asking our TV outlets to join us by again asking the fundamental question during your 10 and 11 p.m. newscasts. Do you know where your children are? As you remember, this was wildly popular in my days. We did it last year. It was quite successful here. Not all of our outlets did them, but WTOC, WSAV did. We're hoping this year all will remain engaged in this. It is a gentle reminder to check up, check out, and check in with your beloved young person from 2 years old to 20 years old every night. If it's just looking in to see if the child is okay, making sure your kids are in their room, or your older kids, what you're up to, where you're doing, where you're at. Texting them, hey, what's going on with you? This is a way that we all can have a hands-on approach to make this happen. If you run a nonprofit organization, I have vital information for you. So the city seeks to again fund programs and services provided under the Community Partnership Program for fiscal year 2024. So proposed program and services must assist in achieving the priorities outlined in the Community Partnership Program 2024 requests for proposals and benefit the residents of the city of Savannah. The applications open June the 12th at savannahga.gov/CPP, savannahga.gov/CPP Community Partnerships Program. The deadline is July the 28th, and applications must be submitted electronically to the City of Savannah's neighborly portal at savannahga.gov/grants, savannahga.gov/grants. There will be an informational meeting on Sunday, June the 10th, on Saturday, June the 10th, from 8:30 a.m. to noon at the Savannah Cultural Arts Center at 201 Montgomery Street, and we're encouraging any interested persons to attend this session. And if you cannot make it on June the 10th, nonprofit agencies can drop in at the Pennsylvania Avenue Resource Center, known as the Park, to have application questions answered. Now to some updates about summer fun. Friday we kicked off our summer fun, and yes, it's true, the city manager and assistant city manager did jump in the pool at Bowles Ford Park. It was not pretty, but they jumped in. Speedos don't work after a certain age, and so but they got in, and we dared them, and they did it. And the city manager is available for any questions after my session about how that felt. And I don't know if you can swim, but swim lessons start. Saturday swim lessons start at Jenkins Pool on June the 3rd, and the session 1 of swimming lessons at Daffin Park begins on June the 5th. The Black Share Sports Camp will run from June the 5th to June the 15th, June 16th, and Cheer Camp starts on June the 6th, so you still have time to sign your child up if needed. Movies in the Park started last week by showing the 2020 Mulan. And on June the 16th, Movies in the Park will move to Daffin Park with the showing of The Little Giants. The event starts at 7:45 p.m., and the movie starts as soon as the sun goes down. And remember, residents can vote on the remaining movie selections in the coming weeks on social media. You also know that the Savannah Youth Council is accepting applications for our 2023-2024 term for rising 8th graders. The SYC is a City of Savannah youth program that is designed to provide opportunities for young people to learn about local government, gain a sense of civic responsibility, and to develop leadership skills. I proudly co-founded the Savannah Youth Council in 2024, so we're at 19 years, to support young people to expand their knowledge and develop and grow toward a successful, productive future. We know here that our success is tied to our succession, and we know we have to train young people at much younger ages to care about government, and this is a way to do that. So students may apply online at savannahga.gov /SYC, savannahga.gov/SYC, and the next session begins in August. If you need more information, you can call 912-651-6520, 912-651-6520, or email syc@savannahga.gov, syc@savannahga.gov. And finally, the 2023 hurricane season begins Thursday again, and we all know what that means for our community. We have been so blessed and fortunate over the last few years not to have any disruptive weather events, but we can ill afford to let our guard down now and not be prepared. So let's start reviewing our plans, checking our supplies, and making sure we are prepared for whatever comes. And so every week for the rest of hurricane season through December, I'll provide a helpful tip to make sure that we all are ready. And so while it's always important to be Savannah strong, it is also always important to be Savannah safe. So that's all I have today. I know a lot to unpack, but I'll answer any questions you may have.
Good morning, Mayor. My first question
Good morning.
My first question is about the historic Kaya House. We know this is the first African American museum in Savannah.
Yes.
It looks like it's now up for sale. Can you tell me a little bit about the kind of person you think needs to be the one who owns it, runs it, fixes it up, all that kind of stuff?
Well, the reality is that the historic Kaya House and Dr. Kaya and what she meant to our community was quite significant. This was not only a museum, it was also a home. And so I think that anyone who purchases it should be someone that respects that. Obviously, there is some opportunities for some institutional use there. Certainly the restoration of the house in a way that is consistent with what it looked like when Virginia Kaya was there, I think it's important. But I think it's more important to carry on the spirit of the Kaya House. Again, this is part of our partnership with the Historic Savannah Foundation to continue to breathe life into historic communities. So, we look forward to it, and we'll see where it goes.
Thank you. We also know yesterday there was quite a commotion at the Youth Detention Center. It sounds like there was a riot. Do you have any comment on that? It sounds like law enforcement was able to get it under control in about an hour.
Yes, we heard about it. Obviously, this is a state facility. It's a state regional youth detention facility, and as we understand it, one of the young people was able to free some other young people, and so it was a harrowing scene for a time. I think other than that, we don't have much, but we're glad that it's under control, and I'm sure that the state will conduct the necessary reviews to find out what happened, why it happened, and to prevent it from happening again. Obviously, this could have been much worse. If these young people are in this facility, they're in there for a reason. And so as we do with our adult detention facilities, we have to always execute due care and regard for making sure that people are where they're supposed to be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
So I know last week y'all passed the medical cannabis zoning ordinance.
Yes.
I was just wondering, what are the next steps? Have you been getting interest from companies? I know is the application process open?
No, again, I think that the issue is this is totally, I think City Manager outlined it during the meeting, this is totally a state process, totally. We don't issue permits or anything like that. It's totally a state process. And I think the cities have to be prepared. The fact of the matter is that when we see all these vaping shops turning up all over the place, for example. I know in cities where there is now recreational marijuana, they entered the market as vape shops and then transitioned. And so for us, it is about making sure that medicinal cannabis, ultimately recreational cannabis, is consistent with areas in where we think they will be best suited to be in communities. We regulate alcohol in that way. Obviously, we want them to operate as the state will allow. We want them to be in a responsible manner and certainly not contribute to the degradation of neighborhoods, as we know that extensive alcohol uses sometimes do. We know that and when we talk about alcohol, we know in some neighborhoods there are more alcohol uses than other neighborhoods. And we know that in those neighborhoods, some of the challenges that we face as a community are also attached to where those are. So for us, this is, I think, leading the way. It is us leaning into what we know is going to come, making sure that we think about this. And so as state law changes, right now, there are no licenses for Savannah. I believe there's one in Pula, one in Macon, and one somewhere in Atlanta. So as we see this, come forth, then we'll make adjustments. But I think it was important for us not to let it happen to us. It was important for us to be able to at least set the ground rules for how they will operate in Savannah.
I saw the city attorneys filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit by William Harvey's family, the inmate who hung himself in the SPD interrogation room a couple years ago. Any comment on that? No,
I think that, again, this is within the purview of the courts, and I think that there are legal motions that must be filed on behalf of the facts, and so the city attorney is duly authorized to defend the city of Savannah before a trier of fact, and so that is something that is being handled. Obviously, it's working its way through the court system, and we'll see where it goes.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, sir.
We were made aware of a child who was hit by a car on their bike yesterday in Savannah. Can you give an update on the city's Vision Zero initiative and what the city's doing to try to avoid pedestrian accidents?
Well, I think that, I think that this is the facts of this particular case might indicate, a moped or some type of motor vehicle, and young people. So I think that, one deals with, carelessness. Thank God the young person is going to be okay. But it's about education. When I was growing up and was riding around on mopeds, there were rules of the road that you can't ignore. So, Vision Zero is about education as much as it is about structural issues. And we'll continue to make sure that we have the necessary lighting and signage, but it's also the responsibility of parents and loved ones about the safe operation of vehicles, particularly mopeds, particularly that are not regulated off-the-road vehicles, ATVs. We know that these could be very, very dangerous vehicles if not handled appropriately and not operated within the rules of the road. Again, we're thankful that the young person is going to be okay. This certainly could have been tragic, and it wasn't.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. Well, we look forward to a hot week here in the 80s, and then Saturday it rained all day, but that tells you how our weather is. But it's a short week, and so enjoy your week. Let's be Savannah strong. Thanks.